Welcome to the Retaliation Realm channel. We hope you enjoy today's story. My mother-in-law's words sliced through the air as we sat in the restaurant, the aroma of the lavish meal before us tainted by her disdain. "Do you truly believe there's a place for you here?" she added, a smirk playing on her lips. "They're just a daughter-in-law, not blood," she continued, her hand waving dismissively, a gesture that felt like an invitation to leave. Anger coursed through me, making my hands tremble as I pushed back my chair to stand. But before I could exit the room, she halted me with a raised hand. "Wait, what about the bill? If you're leaving early, leave the money," she demanded, a smug expression on her face. I met her gaze with a defiant smile. "Why would I pay for a stranger's bill?" I retorted. "My name is Maya, a 29-year-old office worker. My husband, Terrell, and I are content in our relationship, except for one persistent problem: my overbearing mother-in-law. Living close to her, she invaded our lives, criticizing my cooking and homemaking skills. Uninvited, she'd barge in, pointing out every flaw while pretending to be a concerned mother. When I complained to Terrell, he didn't believe me. In his eyes, his mother was just a loving parent, blind to her manipulations. As time passed, her intrusions grew worse. Armed with a key my husband had given her, she'd enter our home, criticizing and complaining about everything. She even tarnished my reputation with the neighbors, spreading lies about me. I pleaded with Terrell to move away, but he remained indifferent, busy with work. Then a turning point arrived. His successful project led to a promotion and a significant salary increase. Seizing the opportunity, I suggested expanding our family. "Now that our income has grown, perhaps it's time to think about having children," I proposed, hoping this positive change might finally open his eyes to the toxic presence of his mother. I thought it was a good idea, but if we're considering having children, I prefer to live in a more child-friendly town. There are very few childcare centers here, and there are no parks for children to play in. Isn't it time for us to move? Finally, my husband gave a positive response about moving, and I was happier about this than the news of his promotion. However, that feeling didn't last long. The next day, my mother-in-law came over as usual without any notice. I was fed up, assuming she had come to nag again, but something seemed different this time. "I've decided to celebrate my son's promotion, so I've reserved a restaurant. It's a very expensive place, but it's elegant. The food is top-notch, and the staff's attitude is wonderful," she said, inviting me to join. "That's nice. Good for you," I replied, trying to be polite, although I was as unfriendly as ever. "Well, never mind. I want you to come to this restaurant too." "Please come," she insisted. "I'll check my schedule, but it's probably impossible," I added. "Don't say that. We'll be waiting for you," she insisted. Even though I answered that way, she just smirked and left. Until now, she had been excluding me, but now she was inviting me and saying she'd wait. There must be something going on. When I asked my husband when he got home, he said he had already told his mother we would go together. She had reserved that restaurant for us, and he was looking forward to it. "Do you feel the same way, Maya?" he asked. "Sorry, but I'm not looking forward to it. I don't know how much money it will cost at such an expensive place. I don't want to go. Just say I have urgent business and enjoy yourself," I replied, feeling apprehensive about the situation. "Why are you thinking so negatively? Besides, it's not just us going to the restaurant. My brothers are bringing their wives too. It would be bad if you didn't come with the whole family," my husband insisted, excited about going to a fancy restaurant for the first time. Even though I didn't want to, I felt compelled to comply. My words no longer reached my husband. If he believed my mother-in-law more than me, I decided to record her harassment with a voice recorder I bought online. She was probably planning to harass me at the celebration too. I would record her voice and play it for my husband. If he still defended her, with that decision, I felt a bit better. Still, the day I met my mother-in-law at the restaurant was depressing, and I kept sighing. I hardly knew my husband's brothers, having only met them at the wedding, and I had no memory of talking to their wives beyond greetings. When we arrived at the restaurant, the waiter led us to a large room where my mother-in-law, the other son, and his wife, and the third son and his wife were already seated. The lavish spread adorned the table with just one vacant seat. My husband, puzzled, tilted his head in confusion. Did the waiter make a mistake with the number of seats? He wondered aloud. I'll go ask. Everyone, start eating, he said, leaving the room. The moment he stepped out, my mother-in-law stood up, her expression twisted into a sneer. There's no seat for you. Why should I invite a stranger who just married my son to a family celebration? She said, her tongue dripping with disdain. So, I'll give you a choice. Show your sincerity and be accepted as family, or leave and never show your face to me again. Choose now. I'm leaving, I answered without hesitation. My mother-in-law was momentarily flustered. Did she think I would beg her to recognize me as a family in this situation? No way. Listen to me. If you pay the entire bill here, I'll recognize you as Terrell's wife. You must be frustrated being treated as a stranger, so pay up and become family, she demanded. I told you I'm leaving. Why should I pay for someone else's family's bill? I retorted, turning my back on her. My mother-in-law slammed the table and shouted, Don't you get it? I'm offering to make you family. Are you okay with being a stranger? Pay up. No, I'm fine being a stranger. Since I'm a stranger, I won't pay for your meal. Goodbye, mother-in-law, I said, and I left. She chased after me, but by the time she reached the entrance of the room, I was already at the exit of the restaurant. When I got home, thinking I'd email my husband, he returned within 10 minutes. The waiter said the reservation number wasn't wrong and my mom was causing a scene, he said. It seemed like my declaration that I was fine being a stranger had also upset the eldest son's wife and the third son's wife. They had previously endured harassment silently, but seeing me talk back made them realize they could do it too. In their momentum, both of them left, and our husbands, the eldest and third sons, hurriedly followed suit. I had braced myself for complaints from my mother-in-law, and sure enough, within 3 hours, the phone started ringing incessantly. It was so disruptive that I eventually blocked the calls. However, one call managed to get through from an unknown number. Hello, sorry for calling so late. Is this Maya's mobile phone? The man on the other end identified himself as a police officer from the nearby police station. He informed me that after being left alone, my mother-in-law had tried to eat what she could and subsequently attempted to make me foot the bill. However, the restaurant staff, already disapproving of my mother-in-law after the earlier disturbance, declined her request. They believed I wouldn't return to pay after leaving in anger. Ignoring all her calls, my mother-in-law was then suggested to pay by card, but she lacked a credit card and hadn't brought enough cash to cover everyone's meals. In a desperate bid, she tried contacting other family members to cover the costs, but no one responded. Frustrated and cornered, she started yelling, blaming me entirely for the situation. Her anger escalated, leading to a scene where she damaged expensive vases and flower pots at the restaurant. This chaos prompted the restaurant to call the police. The responding officers managed to calm down my furious mother-in-law, but she adamantly refused to accept any wrongdoing. The restaurant not only went unpaid, but also was burdened with a troublesome customer. They sought help to escort her home. Feeling guilty about ignoring a call from the police, my husband and I reluctantly returned to the restaurant. Upon our arrival, my mother-in-law was being pacified by the police. The moment she spotted me, she raised her eyes and, crossing her arms, screamed, "You're good for nothing. This situation happened because you didn't pay the bill. What do you want? Why do I have to put up with such an attitude just to come home?" This isn't your home anymore. State your business and leave quickly. What are you talking about? I'll be living here again from today. Oh, I'm hungry. Hey, Serena, give me some food. My ex-husband ordered, expecting me to serve him. Hey, cut it out. Why are you here? I demanded. Well, I've spent almost all my money. My mom will be here soon too, so leave the door unlocked, he said casually. Remaining silent, I glared at him. Oh, you're all healed up, huh? That's great. Let's get back together. You must have had a hard time without me. My ex-husband, still mistakenly believing I loved him, approached me with disgusting familiarity. The audacity of him made me feel sick. Stop it. I divorced you. I don't care about you anymore. Don't get cocky. You've been living on my money all this time, and you can't do anything but housework. Just shut up and do as I say, Ethan shouted at me. Just then, the door opened, and his mother arrived. You left the door unlocked. That's careless. Oh, what's going on? She's been getting cheeky, so I was giving her a bit of education. She's grown thick-skinned in the year we've been away, Ethan's mother remarked casually. Once again, Ethan and his mother began to make themselves at home, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Enough is enough. This isn't your home. I'm calling the police, I insisted firmly. Oh yeah? About that, this house was originally in your father's name, right? So that means the heir, including my mother, makes our agreement null and void, doesn't it? Ethan shouted, making an unreasonable claim. You promised to give me the house. If you're nullifying that, then everything about the division of property should be nullified as well. Give me half the savings. Sure, but I don't have it anymore. Didn't I tell you earlier? I've squandered it all. I quit my job, spent it all on booze, fun, investments, you name it, Ethan admitted casually. I was taken aback by Ethan's words. It was unbelievable that he could have spent such a large sum of money in just 1 year. Also, I have some debts with consumer finance, about $20,000. I guess you can pay for me, Ethan added nonchalantly. I initially thought he was lying, but his mother confirmed it. I can't lend you that much money, I replied firmly. I'm not asking you to lend it. I'm telling you to pay it, Ethan demanded arrogantly. I'm not giving you any money. I'm calling the police, I said firmly. As Nolan dialed the police to report the situation, Ethan began to wreak havoc in the house, breaking the precious furniture that had been my father-in-law's keepsake. His mother also started to destroy the furniture, laughing as she did so. That's the memory of my father and aunt, I pleaded desperately. Ethan and his mother continued their rampage, ignoring my pleas. About 10 minutes later, when the police arrived, I explained the situation to them. This is quite a mess. Let's hear your side of the story, one of the officers said, looking concerned. What's wrong with me breaking things in my own house? That's right. We're just crushing things we don't need. What's the problem? Ethan argued defensively when the police seemed unsure how to respond. Nolan stepped in decisively. This house has never belonged to these two. It's under Serena's name, Nolan explained calmly. Huh? What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Ethan and his mother looked dumbfounded. Before he passed away, our father-in-law left a will through a lawyer, of course. You wouldn't know. You just handed over what you were told and left the rest to Nolan. So, this house was yours from the beginning, Nolan clarified. So, this isn't your property then? Ethan realized with disbelief. Hold on, but I'm her ex-husband. We're like family, so she'll forgive me, right? Ethan attempted to appeal. Don't make me laugh. You're a stranger once you're an ex. I didn't even know you were in contact with another woman before our divorce was finalized and who treated me like a maid. If not you, then who? I responded firmly. No, that's not what happened. I was just going along with what my mom said. She ordered me to do all this. Ethan tried to shift the blame, but his mother intervened. "What are you saying, Ethan? Your failed business, your failed relationships with young girls, your gambling debts, aren't these all you're doing?" his mother disclosed. According to his mother, Ethan had been attempting to marry a young woman after our divorce. He also quit his job to start his own business, which failed within a month. Even with money, Ethan was rejected by lenders and became reckless, indulging in play and gambling, claiming to have money when he had almost none left. "You brought this upon yourself. All this is Ethan's fault," his mother concluded. Despite their previous condescending attitudes towards me, they both desperately pleaded for forgiveness, trying to shift blame and grovel. This was truly ridiculous. "No, I won't forgive either of you. And this isn't just something from the past, is it? You are treating me like a servant," I asserted firmly. Here is a revised version of the passage. "Until a moment ago, not leaving when I asked you to leave is illegal. And since the furniture collected by my late father-in-law is now mine, you'll need to compensate me for that. But all right. We will compensate you. Just please don't get the police involved. You wouldn't want me to go to jail, would you? I don't care at all. By the way, we're married." It turned out I was married to my brother-in-law, Nolan, or rather, he was my former brother-in-law, now my husband. "It hasn't even been a year, and you've moved on to another man, my brother at that." "What are you talking about? You moved on before you were even divorced, didn't you? You wouldn't return Serena to me no matter how many times I asked." "Stop clinging to the past already." Ethan was left speechless. "I don't care anymore. I'll pay for whatever damages there are." "How much for my idiot husband's junk?" I demanded. "Well, if we calculate roughly, about $100,000. "Huh? What?" The furniture that my father-in-law had collected were all high-end pieces made by famous designers. Ethan and his mother, who had no interest in these items, seemed to have believed they were just junk. "You're going to compensate for what you've broken, right? We're not sure if we can get the same items, but make sure to pay properly." Ethan and his mother, unable to afford such compensation, were distraught. For the time being, the police took the two of them away for trespassing and vandalism. Of course, I didn't forgive them and went ahead with the lawsuit. Afterward, Ethan and his mother, who was desperately seeking help from Nolan, were bluntly rejected with him saying, "I'm ashamed to even be related by blood." Ethan and his mother were likely receiving their just desserts together. It's a good location, so it might sell for a bit more, but for now, Nolan and I decided to take it easy in the house my father-in-law left us, with no plans to sell it. Eventually, we planned to sell the land and build a new house. I had some worries about having children, so after getting married to Nolan, I went to the gynecologist for a checkup, but there were no issues with either Nolan or me. Now, with the troublemakers gone, Nolan and I are living happily together. Thank you for being with us and listening until the end. If you found it interesting, please subscribe, give us a like, and leave your comments. We'll see you on the Retaliation Realm channel.